Hello, we are Group 19 and I'll be explaining the UI as well as I am Rohit Balasubramanian. I'll be explaining the UI as well as working of the assignment 2, which is to plot on a dynamic graph of the accelerometer values. So once the application is open, it will initially ask access for reading and writing of any file in the SD card, which is shown in this following pop-up. So once that is done, you'll be able to enter the patient ID, name, age, and gender. So once you're done with that, so once everything is done, you click on the submit button. So which will enable the run as well as download options, which will help you plot as well as download the graph which is uploaded to server. So we'll start off with the run button. So once the run is clicked, the plots of the sensor values over time are plotted here, as you can see. So I'll just show you how the sensor value changes using the virtual sensors. So upon rotation or any active this thing, as the accelerometer values changes, the graph plots also dynamically changes, as you can see. So this is how the run method works. So once the run is executing, you have the option to stop the graph at stop plotting the graph at any time. So once stop is clicked, you see that the graph is cleared as well as and the execution is stopped. And upon run execution again, you can see that the graph will continue plotting. So at any point once you stop, you will be provided the option to upload the file to the server. So what this will do is it will store the database server in the provided URL in the server. So once that is completed, it will say file upload complete, and at any point you'll be able to download and view the last 10 points which have been plotted. So as you can see, once it's downloaded, the last 10 points which are previously plotted can be seen. So this is how our application works. Now Venkat will be explaining about the code of how the Insta activity is created as well as the submit button works.
This is Venkatakrishnan Karthikeyan. On create, ask the user for permission to allow reading and writing in the SD card, and then instances for service and all UI inputs are created. Once submit button is pressed, it first checks if the DB is present. If it does not exist, a new one is created and a new DB instance is initiated. Then it checks if all the inputs like name, age, sex exist. And then a table is created where the accelerometer values are stored. Register receiver then captures accelerometer values. Now Rohit will take over to talk about run functionality.
Hello, I'll be explaining about how the run as well as stop buttons are working. So as previously shown in the UI, once the run is clicked in the UI, on click listener of run is triggered, which will create multiple threads which will keep plotting the graphs dynamically. So how this works is once the run is clicked, initially in the generate graph method, the graph details have been initialized, where the color of the plot as well as the background color of graph, everything is initialized, which you can see, as well as the label parameters. So once all of that is done, now it will register a new service which we've created in order to register find the sensor values of accelerometer. That is done in this step, and you can see in the accelerometer class, which extends service and implements sensor event listener. It will be sensing sensor manager will be able to detect any change in accelerometer values, which will trigger an interrupt and non-sensor change method. Here the accelerometer values are frequently captured and sent as a broadcast message. So once any broadcast message is sent in the main activity, this broadcast message is received using the receiver. So I'll just show you the receiver which has been. So in the receiver, what happens is when any broadcast message to this particular receiver is received, the XYZ values are extracted as well as the current timestamp, and then these values are then inserted into the DB, which was previously explained by Venkat, which is created on create. So once the DBs have been updated, if you go back to the run, You can see that it initially creates a thread. Just a second. So yeah, in this thing. So once all these steps are done, graph worker thread is initialized where the plots are plotted into this thing. So if you go to the graph worker thread, you can see that the run method is calling the add entry method, which is nothing but plotting the new values, like, which is extracted from the DB and which corresponds to the latest value, which is received by the previous receiver I explained. Now Prana will be explaining how the upload as well as the download tasks will be working.
I'm, I'm Pranav. I'll be explaining the part where we deal with uploading the data to the provided web server. So this upload is implemented as an async task such that it runs as a background process. To send data, we need to establish a connection. So parameters for the connection are given over here. We take the string file name as the upload file name and the upload file. So if the source file is not present, it encounters an error. Else, it sets the connection. The URL is provided for the web server that we want to push the data to. We use buffer and buffer sizes to push the data byte by byte to the web server. Finally, a status code is provided by the server. A status code of 200 responds that the file has been uploaded successfully and prints a toast message. Else, it runs into an exception. So the next part will deal with downloading the data. This will be explained by Harish.
Hi, I'm Harish, and I'll be explaining how the downloading works. What basic concept here is, once you click the download button, the connection is established to the remote server where the database that has been uploaded with the previous values data is downloaded to the SD card, and the top 10 recent values are plotted in the graph. So in the function, it is run as an async task so that it can run in the background. So we get the external storage directory, go to the path, and we check whether the DB path exists. If it exists, we go on proceeding with the other functionalities. If it doesn't exist, we just create the directory and proceed. So once the input stream has been established and the file has been downloaded to the data, so we come here down where from the data we take the latest top 10 data and call the line data set function where it plots the last 10 data. So in this ways, when clicking the download function, the connection is set to the remote server, the data is getting downloaded there, and the last 10 data has been plotted successfully to the graph. Hence, the user can see the last 10 data being plotted. So this being the whole functionality of our assignment 2. So Group19 signing out. Thank you.